Marguerite Dunmore was 54 years old when she walked out of the only house she had ever called home with a carpet bag, 2 dresses, and $11.40 sewn into the lining of her coat. Her brother-in-law, Cornelius Dunmore, had stood in the doorway of the mercantile her husband built with his own hands and told her, without so much as a tremor in his voice, that the business now belonged to him by right of the debts her late husband had supposedly left behind. Debts that existed only in a ledger Cornelius had written himself. With nowhere else to turn and no one left to vouch for her, Marguerite took the little money she had and walked 3 days south to a half-forgotten crossroads town called Larkspur Hollow, where she paid $3.10, pennies, really, against what it once was worth for a boarded-up, rat-chewed saloon that the county had long since given up trying to sell. Everyone who watched her sign the paper called it a fool's purchase. They did not know that behind the warped shelving of that dead saloon lay something sealed away for 20 years, something that would not only change the shape of Marguerite's life, but would quietly, patiently, put right a wrong that had been eating away at an entire town. Settle in, and let us tell you the story of Marguerite Dunmore. If you are watching this from a place that has been written off by everyone else, a town, a farm, a family, or a life that people call finished, tell us in the comments, because this story is for you. Marguerite had not always been a woman standing at crossroads with everything she owned in a bag. She had been raised in the river town of Coldwater, Ohio, street stood a two-story wooden building with a faded, peeling sign that still read, if one squinted, the split horn, its oil rendered from bacon fat, and the patience her father had taught her over barrel staves 30 years before, until at last the little door groaned open on hinges that had not moved since Odalys Pharaoh disappeared. Inside, wrapped in oilcloth gone brittle and yellow with age, quiet of a saloon nobody wanted, that she was holding something far larger than an old woman's private grievance. Josiah Bell House, she soon learned from careful, casual questions asked of the schoolteacher, Miss Adelia Vance, and the blacksmith, a broad, soft-spoken man named Tobias Rayner, was very much still alive, still respected, and still, in fact, the largest landholder and the head of the town council of Larkspur Hollow. A pillar of respectability who had spent 2 decades quietly profiting from a wound he had inflicted on nearly every family in the valley. New to a town, with no family and no standing, would do far better to focus on her little boarding house than to go stirring up matters long since settled by law. Marguerite thanked him for his concern with the same steady courtesy she had once used on difficult customers at the mercantile, and said nothing at all about what she had found, though she noticed, with the same careful eye that once caught Cornelius's forged ledger, the flicker of unease behind Bell House's practiced calm. The town itself, when word eventually spread that the strange widow at the old saloon hear disputes too large for the town's own council, and laid before him the ledger, the letters, and the certified land office copies, calmly, methodically, the way her mother had once laid out a column of figures to catch a lying tenant. Judge Steele, a careful and unhurried man not unlike Marguerite's own father, spent 3 full days reviewing what she had brought him, questioning her at length about how the documents had come into her possession, before informing her that he intended. People said afterward, the kind of request that revealed more about her character than any speech could have, and it was that request, more than the scandal itself, that finally turned the town's wary suspicion into something like reverence. In the months that followed, the Split Horn itself was transformed, not by Marguerite alone, but by a town suddenly eager to make amends for its earlier coldness. The Callaways, who received back the timber tract their grandfather had lost, donated lumber to repair its sagging porch. Tobias Rayner, ashamed of his earlier distance, forged new hinges and fittings free of charge. Miss Vance organized the town's children to help whitewash its walls. being overlooked is not the same as being worthless. Before you go, we would love to know, what is a time in your own life when you found real value in something everyone else had already written off? Tell us in the comments below, and let this story be proof that patience and quiet honesty still have the power to set things right. Until next time, stay close. Subscribe, like, and share as we grow this channel together.